So you found your dream home.
What's next?
All right. So what's next? I would say we'll break it out. We'll break it down into couple steps, right? So I'll go with the first step is so we sign the offer. It's a fully executed purchase agreement, and we're moving into the home inspection phase. We recommend it to everybody. In that home inspection phase, you're going to find out everything that is
technically,
things that are going to cost you money now, things that are going to cost you money in 5 years, and things down the road that you can do to your house to improve it and to make it your own. So typically in that home inspection phase, depending on if we're in a multiple offer situation or if it's not, we range it from anywhere from like 1 to 7 days to get that home inspection scheduled, completed, and then back to the sellers to negotiate or to move forward on with the process.
How much would you say like an average inspection should run a buyer?
So I would say it depends, right? So average $300 to $500, but what we always recommend is sewer scope, right? Because what you can't see, you obviously can't see the sewer from ground level. It's underneath, so we need to send a camera down there. That typically, shout out to Anaconda Drain, like that's our number one preferred sewer scope camera people. Joe, you're the man. And that typically is like, I think it's like 175 to 200. And then depending on the area that you're in the downriver area, radon testing, that's an additional $100. And then there is mold air quality testing. That's an additional couple $100. So like it can go anywhere from as cheap as you want to as expensive as you want. That's your personal choice, but we'll advise you depending on the certain area. So that would be the first step. That's the first contingency that we need to remove to get on to step 2.
What's step 2?
You don't know what step 2 is? All right. So step 2 is once we're past the home inspection contingency, then we're going to move forward with the appraisal. Obviously, you're going to have to send in all of your paperwork to your lender. That's a lender of your choice. We have multiple lenders that we recommend that you utilize, and we do that because we vet out the lenders. We're making sure that they're not charging you any hidden fees, right? No doc fees or no, they're gonna give you the lowest rate, they're gonna give you the cheapest cost, and they're gonna provide the best service. That's what we can provide you. So you'll send over your docs to them, you'll go through like a pre-underwrite service with them, and you'll order an appraisal, and you're going to have to pay, it's like $500 to $600, and that's outside of what your closing costs are. You're gonna pay for that with your credit card, so that we can order an appraisal and send it in to get the house appraised. Right, so that would be step number 2. Step 3 is, it's still kind of the appraisal contingency process, but have an appraiser come out and look at the comparables. By comparables, I mean houses in the area that have sold that's comparable to the house that we're purchasing. And from that, it will tell us if we are at value, if we're over value, or if we're under value. If we're at value, no repairs, we're good to go. If we're over value and no repairs, we're good to go. We don't have to tell the sellers that it appraised over value. That's a thumbs up for you guys, and you have instant equity in your house. And another one would be if it comes in under value and there are repairs, or under value and there's no repairs, we have to go back and renegotiate with the sellers. So once we get that all settled out, we're going to remove that appraisal contingency. So after we get through the appraisal phase, and we've cleared, we have, just to reiterate, we have an accepted PA, purchase agreement. We have an accepted home inspection. You guys are satisfied and you're moving on. Third, you have your appraisal. We're good to go. We've negotiated all terms. And then now you're on to the financing portion and the underwriting portion. Underwriting is basically, to keep it in layman's terms and simple for you guys, is that you're going to send all of your documents or any condition that the lender is requiring from you to get approved and finalized for the loan, right? So that's the whole underwriting process. Is like, for example, send us, a homeowner's insurance quote, or send us your last 4 months or 12 months of your bank statements. Send us, if you received a large amount of money in over $5,000, send us a letter. It's called an LOE, or a letter of explanation, on where you got that money, right? Because we need to be able to source that money. So there's definitely different things that the underwriters are going to ask that, and all I can say to you is whatever they ask for, just give it to them, right? Don't ask us questions on why you need to send something. It's a part of the guidelines for your loan. Make sure you take care of it. Simple as that. So you're going to go through all of that, and typically that process can take, depending on how your lender is, and our lenders are pretty quick, I would say a week and a half, depending on how fast you send your documents over. Because how you have to think about it is, you'll send your documents to your lender, the lender will send it to the underwriter then has to review it, and then if there's no conditions, they'll send it back to the lender will say, yep, you're good to go. But in this phase, do not open any new credit cards, do not purchase a new car, do not go spend loads of cash on buying furniture or whatever. We'll
make another video about what not to do.
Yeah, what not to do, right? Yeah, fair. So seriously, don't do anything after you get if we're moving from the appraisal to closing on your house. Don't do anything. Wait until you close on the property and you get the keys. I know it sounds inconvenient, but if you do something in that window, you could potentially not get the house that you've always wanted.
It's
right?
the most fragile mortgage time frame.
Yeah, yes. for sure. So that takes about a week and a half. In that time, we're clearing title. We're making sure that there's no contractor liens on the property. We're making sure that we don't have to get any sort of death certificates to clear title. We're making sure that they have their payoffs, so that they pay off their loan on the property. Other things can go into play in that process. But okay, so now we're through the financing phase, and a lender will now send out it's a C2C email, clear to close. That means that they've cleared all the conditions for you to purchase the house. The underwriter said, Jamie, you're good to buy. So then from there, it's going to take, I would say, 48 hours to 72 hours. You'll sign a pre-closing disclosure. It's 3 days from when you sign your pre-CD. So you'll sign that, and what that pre-CD is, for those that don't know, it's basically an entire document of all of your costs, all of your taxes and your prepaids, and what you're spending, so that you can come up with a final number on what you need to bring to closing, right? So that 72-hour window, it will give you that 72 hours to ask your lender any questions. Why is this charge on there? Why is this on there? But we should already know that if you go with a recommended lender, you should already know those costs up front, and you should not have any questions, because it should be very, very similar to what they have quoted you at the beginning of the entire process.
Yeah, no hidden fees.
Yeah, no hidden fees. Yep. So you'll get that pre-CD. Once you sign it, then we can, as your agent, will schedule a closing. And typically title companies recommend that we schedule them 48 hours out, so that we can, coordinate with the other side, the sellers, so we can coordinate with you, so you can coordinate with work, vice versa. and so that you have enough time to go to the bank to get a certified check, or you can, provide wiring instructions. And I mean, wiring instructions, that's another full video, because there's a lot of fraud going on in this world, and we'll never send you any sort of wiring instructions to wire any sort of money. I mean, there was a huge story with that. Somebody got wiring instructions from an agent, supposedly an agent, and they were in the process of buying a house. They wired the funds, and I think it was like $100,000
to that instruction, whatever
they
it was.
thought it was the title company, but it was to somebody offshore, and they literally lost $100,000. So scary stuff, super important. Always ask questions. No question is a stupid question. So make sure to never send money without, like, if it's coming, I'm never gonna send you an email saying, hey, wire funds here. I'm never gonna do that.
And like he said, always ask us questions. We'll tell you where to get it to the right place.
Yep. So now that we set the closing up, right? You got your final numbers from your lender. We always do a final walkthrough. The final walkthrough, I like to do it the day of or the day before, to go into the property to make sure that there's no damage. Nobody's punching holes in the walls. Nobody's pouring concrete down the sink drains and clogging up, all that stuff. And just making sure that the property is in the condition that we said we were going to buy it in and made the offer and it appraised, all that stuff. Like, we're making sure that it's in the same condition, right? So we have our final walkthrough, and then the last step is
Closing.
Yeah, there we go. So we're closing.
Home sweet home.
Home sweet home. Yep. Next stop is home sweet home.
Yep.
But home sweet home can be home sweet home at closing, or it could be like 30 days after closing.
That's
it
true.
could be 60 days after closing. There's and what I mean by that is, so if you get the keys at closing, cool, home sweet home, move right in, schedule your movers, blah blah blah. But if it's let's just say 30 days after closing, that means 30 days is an additional month after you close on the house. It's your house, but you have 30 days extra to wait for the original owners to move out of the house.
And those are things that we discussed way at the beginning.
Yeah, this is
it's nothing that would come later and surprise you. So.
Yeah, sorry about that. I kind of missed that. Sorry. But yeah, occupancy is definitely one thing that we negotiate at the beginning of the purchase agreement. Thanks for listening. Thanks for this is hopefully that you guys understand the process a little bit better. But as always, if you guys have questions, comments, or just want to talk about real estate in general, reach out to myself, Jamie, or Eric, and we'll catch you on the next video.